Hello, and welcome to another episode of Good But Not the Best, a Dancing Gnome podcast. I'm your host, Jaron Barton.
And Andrew Witchy.
Outside again after a break last month due to the weather. It's damn hot.
It was warm.
I always complain about the heat. I know
love
Andrew
it.
loves it.
I love it.
I actually said to my wife, I think it was just the other day, I said, I think at this point in my life, summer is my least favorite season now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's bringing up the rear.
That is...
For sure. I just hate it's been a hot summer too. I think it's just beating me down.
Yeah, it has. I mean, I guess that I should take you over to the new spot and have you just stand in there for 5 minutes and then think about brewing in there for 6 hours.
Oh gosh.
It is infinitely worse than being out here. So you just kind of get used to it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's dangerous to be there.
Is it always going to be like that, or is that a temporary?
So we do have. I don't know. I mean, to your point, it is the absolute hottest time of the year. So it's not going to get hotter than it is right now.
Yeah.
In there. Like that's impossible. So in that sense, no, it's not always going to be like that. It depends on the season. It depends on the time of year. No, we did have an issue with one of our exhaust fans that's getting fixed. I'm not confident it's going to make a big amount of difference, though. It just is the way the kind of building's laid out.
Yeah,
that doesn't.
That's a
draw
big
in
space.
A lot of air, so the tap room's good. That has AC. That's not a problem.
No AC in the
no
production
AC
area.
in the back. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's hot enough that in time we may think about doing it. It's just super expensive. And honestly, it's really inefficient because there's a boiler in there, and you're boiling liquid, and there's a hot liquor tank, and you're just constantly doing stuff that requires heat. So you're fighting against yourself to try to cool
get some industrial fans and
get some airflow in there and get some fans on the wall. I don't have a problem with it, but I mean, I don't think OSHA would have a problem with it either. I don't think it's that bad, but it is uncomfortable. I understand why folks wouldn't love it. But
yeah,
we don't have AC in this production space. It gets hot in the summer too, but I guess there's just a little bit more airflow.
Yeah, you got the doors on each side. Just throw them open.
Yeah. But
plus, aren't you guys doing a lot of stuff at like 5 a.m.?
We do stuff pretty early. Yeah.
So it's a little cooler then too.
It hasn't been recently.
No.
it hasn't been, but not complaining. I enjoy it. I like the heat. Bring it on.
I don't. Get out of here. So I thought what we could do here, the last couple episodes we've sent out, or Andrew sent out a tweet saying that we were recording and we got some questions, but we had a few more roll through after we had already stopped recording last time. So I thought we could run through those here quick.
Yeah, let's do it.
At Rustus for Jesus, a friend of mine, says, what, if anything, goes into the decision making on what is being brewed next, or when you're going to brew something new? Any inspiration, or just a matter of the materials / hops available?
It depends. I think that as far as schedule's concerned, that also depends. I mean, I think that a lot of times it can be something as simple as I want to drink that beer, so I'm putting it on the schedule. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I think the schedule kind of gets filled out as like we know when we have to brew Lustra, and even more so now at 1025. So that gets filled in first. And we know when, I want to attempt to have a little bit better variety than we used to have back in the past. So rather than just being total, pale IPA, double IPA, we have to throw other stuff on there. So then we start looking at variety, and then it's, what I want to drink out of it. And then it's what's selling or what a consumer wants. And then it's, what's actually seasonal versus what isn't. So like Black Clouds has to be on at very specific times.
Right.
Octa has to be brewed at a very specific time. So things like that, you look at that. And then the rotationals, the non-seasonals, the beers like Pounce, Infinite Highway, Better One or Two that are quote-unquote year-round but aren't around all the time. Mm-hmm. Those are kind of just as I feel they need to come back. So Infinite Highway and Better One or Two Infinite Highway gets brewed a little bit more than Better One or Two at this point, but that's sometimes it is what we have available and like what hops we have. I mean, something like Avum, we basically just started a contract with Enigma and Ella, the two hops in that. So before, that's personally one of my favorite beers that I'd love to be around a lot more often. But it was one that we didn't have on all the time because sometimes we just couldn't get Ella or Enigma, and that's such a specific beer, and those hops are so unique that to change it would be crazy. So, now we have them all the time, and we can do it a little bit more often. But, we have a lot of beers too, and it's not, I think that I'd love to have Infinite Highway around a lot more as like kind of a true regular. And Lustra is very close to being a true year round. As far as new beers, I think you look at the schedule and kind of if there's a gap or a hole or something that you need that you either don't want to fill with something else or want to try something else out. A lot lately, it's been traditional stuff. So, like, okay, I got this gap in the schedule, and I really want to fill it with a cream ale, or I want to fill it with a hef, or we got to brew the Watershed series. That's another thing that has to get on the calendar. So you pick that, and we pick those beers at the beginning of the year, honestly. So we kind of know what's coming down the pike for the Watershed beers. Those were planned out in December of last year. So. But I think it really depends. I think that ultimately, it is me, and it's what I feel like putting on. There's no real rhyme.
It's a dictatorship.
There's no intense rhyme or reason behind it. But the schedule does end up getting filled up with like things like collabs or with Watershed and Lustra and things that have to be released on specific dates, and then it's like just
filling in gaps. Yeah. Another question that came through. At Live Laugh Lager, which is great.
It's a great one.
He just says coconut ? Yeah.
I mean, that could go a lot of different ways, but for sure. I mean, I love coconut.
Me too.
Yeah. As far as putting it in a beer, it's not easy. You need truly absurd amounts. We've done it. We've done a coconut dead sleep.
I remember that.
I think that.
Do you use like flaked coconut or a puree or what?
We use toasted coconut, so like organic toasted coconut. Kind of gets the oils out of it, so it's not as like sticky. It still kind of messes up the head retention of the beer, but not nearly as much. Plus, it kind of pre-releases the oil for aromatic reasons because a lot of it is aroma based.
Yeah.
We used a lot in that, and I'll put successful with an asterisk next to it because I don't think I don't think it was a bad beer by any means. I think Dead Sleep's really good beer, and I think that there was slight hints of coconut in it, but I think that for what people expect out of coconut in a beer, we used an amount that we like almost physically couldn't have fit any more in the tank.
Oh wow.
And it wasn't remotely enough. So like basically when people do coconut stouts, as like I researched even pre and post of like breweries that I know that have done like really successful coconut stouts, they have to do like recirculating apparatuses with insane amounts of coconut, like astronomical, silly.
Just not even worth it at that point.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Not even worth it. That's what pina coladas are for,
Sure.
Slam pina colada. I'm a big Miami Vice guy myself.
They're great.
Like, mix it together. Let's go, Miami.
So just in general, coconut ? I'll say yes.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. That was it for the straggling questions from last time. Something you brought up, and I think you said you wanted to talk about it, was that you found out that Michael Bay directed the Meatloaf video of I Would Do Anything for Love.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot to watch it.
I did too, so maybe we should save that one for next time.
Okay. But
I completely forgot to watch that. We were texting about that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said someone told you that, which is wild.
Yeah, I thought. In my head, I thought you told me that, but I guess I told you that.
You told me.
Yeah, we'll revisit that, folks.
Okay.
Look forward to the August. This is August. September episode of Good But Not the Best, where we have a full section discussing the nuances and eccentricities of Michael Bay's filmography.
Over under explosions in this Meatloaf video. I'll set the over under at 2, or I'll go 3. We'll set it at 3.
I was gonna say 5.
So you're going over. You're gonna go
5
over.
is what was coming to my head.
I don't know. It's a Meatloaf video. I'll go under.
It's Meatloaf.
It might have been early in Michael Bay.
Yeah.
So
he wasn't pushing yet. He was seeing what he could trickle in.
So we'll watch it. We'll tell you how many explosions, and we'll give you a breakdown of the video.
Sweet. That sounds awesome.
I'm bearing the lead here in the intro. Our pleas have worked. We had 5 new reviews since our last episode.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So let's go.
Does that mean we actually have to give something away?
Well, you brought it up.
I did. Okay. All right. Starting next month, if you leave a review, you could win something, and we'll discuss the parameters surrounding that so that we can announce it officially.
First up, from Tyler Atkinson Bowhunter. Is that his real name? Probably Tyler Atkinson. Andy likes bow hunting.
Yeah, I think that's probably more accurate.
Title of the review: Keep doing daddy likes. We will. Great podcast. Love the Pittsburgh beer scene and glad they talk about other breweries and give updates on things that are going on in the burg. They also talk about things other than beer, like movies and such, which is nice. Vibe is chill and funny without being cheesy.
Oh, nice.
Good.
Wow.
That's what we're going for. Thanks,
Not
Tyler.
Cheesy.
Hope you are successful when you go bow hunting.
Yes, unless it is his last name. That'd be a pretty wicked last name.
Badass. Double M21 writes, the title of the review, A Pleasant Surprise, the first. So the first of the month, I guess.
Okay.
I always forget this podcast exists until it's staring me in the face on the first of every month. Love hearing about everything going on at Dancing Gnome, and every guest they have on is top notch.
You heard it here first, folks. It's so good that you forget it exists. Now, if that's not a great review, I don't know.
Until
what
it's
it is.
staring you in the face,
Until
which I don't know if that's
a
good thing.
Well, it seems good.
But she,
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm saying she.
Yeah.
But that's the vibe I got. So I'm sorry, Double M21. If
They. Just say they.
They. Right. What am I doing? It's 2021.
That's right.
DBakes15. Title of the thing is thumbs up emoji, beer mug emoji. Love it. Keeps me connected to the happenings in the Pittsburgh beer scene all the way down here in Texas. And we got an acronym to crack here.
Nice.
I wrote it down. We'll have to noodle on it. DGRBCIT22. We'll revisit
did you
that.
Write it down?
I did.
You wrote it down?
Yeah.
Who's it from?
DBakes15.
Okay.
All the way down here in Texas, I think, might be part of it.
I bet I can figure it out.
Okay. This one is from Gary, and then in parentheses it says pronounced Gowie. I like the show is the title of the review, so that's great. Electric podcast. Make Octa year round. Promise not to bring my dog or baby. I left a review, so do I get free stuff now? Hail to Pitt.
Not after that second off, you don't. That can be Jaren's call. Jaren's, I guess, also allowed to give away free stuff. So you can bring your baby. That's legally allowed. But if you choose not to, I'm not going to be mad about it. Thank you for not bringing your dog. What was there was something I wanted to
Make
comment
Octa
on.
year round.
Oh, yeah, make Octa year round. That's, man, first time I think I've heard that. Definitely agree. Not gonna happen.
It's a seasonal.
It is a hard seasonal. I hope in years future though that we have it throughout the entire season, so that we can kind of pool a Sierra,
3 months.
Like Sierra Nevada released theirs already, so like I'm hoping that like
That's early.
July's a little too early,
Yeah.
but like if we could do like mid-August through mid-October and like have Octa available for the entirety of those 2 months, that'd be great. So just keep tossing it in the tanks and batch it out. And
Gary.
Yeah, Gowie.
Last one.
Thanks, Gowie.
From Mason_S7. A Lonesome Dove podcast is the title, and they occasionally talk beer. And then they say you can only have 4 beers for the rest of your life. So they're posing a question here. I wrote this down too. If we don't get to it, we might have to think about this one.
Okay.
You can only have 4 beers for the rest of your life: a breakfast beer, a beer with lunch, a beer with dinner, and a beer with dessert. What 4 beers would you choose? You can only use Lustra once.
Okay.
P.S. Love the pod, and thanks for introducing us to Ink Masters. My fiance and I are currently on season 4.
Heck yeah. Yeah, dang. All right, sweet. Well, appreciate the reviews, folks.
Yeah, thanks, everyone.
Honestly, I do. I got a noodle on how to give away free stuff here because I preemptively did that, but I'm happy to give away free stuff. But we'll talk about that at the break, and we can come back with how we're going to do that.
I would say must come to the brewery.
It'll be must come to the brewery to pick it up
to get something.
Yeah, I mean that's fair.
You don't
Most
have to
people,
ship
most
stuff.
people are local. I would assume, and if not, then we'll figure it out.
All right.
Yeah, cool, awesome. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Keep them
Love
coming. When we come back after post guest, we'll take a stab at that acronym and answer the four desert beers, if you will. So, thank you.
Before guest, we're gonna do look back, look ahead.
Yes,
As always. Look back to July.
Yeah, it was a busy one.
Big happenings.
Yes. We started brewing.
Production.
Started brewing in the new space. We started packaging in the new space. We took tanks over to the new space.
Was it a new packaging line?
No, same one.
Same one.
Yeah,
okay.
Same one. It's laid out differently, but no, same one for now. In time, it may not be, but for now, we don't need anything else right now. It's a good little workhorse. So that was the biggest thing for sure, is just moving over there and working on dialing in the system and getting the system up and running. I think we've done a super good job. You're drinking Wishbone right now. That's on the new system. What do you think?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I liked it better before.
Oh yeah, you asshole! I knew you were gonna say that.
I could tell it tasted different.
Yeah.
No,
now I can't
I'm
tell
just
if you're
kidding.
serious or not. You can't do that to me. I've personally liked the beers that have the two. Well, we packaged one today, so the 3 beers that have come out of the new facility, I've enjoyed so far. But there is still a bit of a dial curve, and but yeah, I think that we're really on the right track and amped to start putting out more stuff, and even more amped to get people in the tap room. So unfortunately, I have no real update for Yins yet. A lot of stuff is kind of getting installed every day. The lot is partially and temporarily paved, so it's ready for parking, ready for people, ready for the increased deliveries. But we're still waiting on those lighting components that we just cannot get our hands on. So can't get in there without
Just
lights.
a material thing, like ordering and back
it was,
orders and all that
it was
stuff.
just the drivers for the specific overheads, and getting delayed and not really knowing what's going on, and so kind of looking for different options, but those other options either run on the same drivers or are also delayed because we haven't, we would just be ordering them now. So
right.
It's an additional 6 to 8 weeks, and so
Yeah.
by that point the drivers might come in. So it's been that game for a long time, trying to figure out what to do. Which is very frustrating on our end for sure. But also trying to take it in stride. And the old tap room opened up.
Yeah.
So that happened in July. We opened the tap room, which was basically because of that. The unknown was driving me nuts, so I wanted to.
Did you move your office space to the new?
I did.
The new tap room?
I did. It took me like 3 days to clean off my desk. Everybody else cleaned the entire tap room in like an afternoon. It took me 3 days to clean off my desk. But I did it, and I have a little box that I carry around now, and it's my desk more or less, and I post up wherever I need to post up.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's been fine. Definitely a little weird to walk in and not have a desk there anymore, but no, it's been good. I miss the tap room. I think a lot of people miss the tap room. And
yeah.
I think being able to, I don't know, stand there and talk to everybody and hang out and drink a proper pint is really nice. So I'm glad we did it. And even if it's minimal, even if we are able to get. We had delays with the draft system too. That actually should have been installed by now, but that's not going to install until mid-August. So we can't open until then anyways. So
right.
Ideally, the lights come in the next 2 weeks, and draft system gets installed. We get inspected, and we're open by the end of August. I think that if it gets delayed beyond that, like if we get stuff in September and we're good to go the second week of September, realistically, we'll probably just wait till October 1st. There's no reason at that point not to. Just everything on the same day, baby.
Yeah.
So we'll see. That's TBD. If it goes beyond that, I'm going to be real bummed because we wanted to do a little bash over there for the anniversary.
Sure.
But, yeah, other than that, it's slowly but surely coming along. As far as look back, beer-wise, we did some cool stuff. We had Marbled Hearts Cream Ale, which is one of my favorites.
Good. Yeah.
That's one that I definitely would like to bring around much more often. I think you will see much more often. The Kirtland Snake was a Hefeweizen, which I personally enjoyed. Not a style that I will really ever gravitate towards, but it was a nice, educational component to brewing and learning and brewing it. Something that I could potentially see, happening in the summertime once or twice. I prefer White Oak. They're not that they're the same beer at all. We talked about this last time with Lauren.
Yeah.
In regards to a Belgian wit versus a German hef, but they're similar enough. And if I was gonna reach for one, it would always be a Belgian wit. So as far as that, I don't think we did anything. We didn't do anything really crazy beer wise. It was a lot of typical stuff. We had the more traditional stuff that came out, which was awesome. So looking ahead beer wise, Black Clouds. Yeah, Black Clouds is coming out.
New system.
That's technically August, even though it's supposed to be July. But yeah, new system.
Increased amount?
No. Yeah, no. Not increased amount. Sorry, folks. No, we basically, as we were getting used to the system, I wanted to see what the maximum, how we could max out the system. So the plan with that was to kind of push Black Clouds is a double mashed beer, but it's a single batch. So if we double mash Lustra, if we double mash Lustra on the new system, we get 40 barrels of beer. Black Clouds would be a double mash for 20 barrels of beer. So this time we did a single mash for 12 barrels of beer. So we took the total mash of what we did at the old spot and just collected the total amount that we always had. So instead of having a double brew for a single turn, we just had a single turn for a single turn. So it was a time saving thing, and it was one of the earlier beers that we brewed on the system. So we didn't want to just straight up, I didn't want to fuck anything up. So it's not increased volume. It will be in the future. But I wanted, if we had to dump anything, dumping 10 or 12 barrels of beer is a lot more tolerant than dumping 20 barrels of beer. So that was the other reason, was first big stout on the new system. I was pretty confident with pails, but you just never know.
Yeah.
So not increased volume, but you heard it here first, folks. First in-person release.
Ooh.
Since pre-COVID.
Wow.
Yeah, no online sales for Black Clouds. And honestly, I'm thankful for that. That has been a nightmare. So yeah, in person, gotta get it in person. I don't care if you stand in line. You don't have to stand in line. Nobody should stand in line. Don't stand in line. Just come whenever you want, and then everybody can get some still. I don't know what to tell you, but I'm not looking for the line. I don't care about that. It's just an easier way to get the beer. You have to show up. Period. People that are willing to show up get it, and that's it.
Yeah.
The online thing is way more people trying to get it, and it there's just always issues. And there's always going to be issues, but nice to try another in-person release. Hope everybody's excited for it. If you're listening to this in ultra early August, then follow along online. If you're listening to this in mid-August, you missed it. So, yeah. Should be cool. Otherwise, kind of more of the same. Let's see.
Yeah.
Going into August. We have a handful of things. September is slammed, so next month's look ahead will be Burley. That one will require some note taking. There's a whole lot going on, but it feels like my calendar feels like there's a lot going on, but ultimately it's just prep and getting ready and figuring stuff out and other random things. And Ernie's birthday. It's in July, or August. Happy birthday, Dad. But yeah, I think that's about all I got. I don't think there's anything else overly pressing in the next month.
We can cut it there then. take a little break.
Yeah, I'm gonna rack my brain around these few things
here.
and we'll get back to you.
See you in a bit.
All right, we're back, everybody, and we are here with our guest this week, Wes Schonk.
Hello.
Yes,
Hi, Wes.
of the new Goodlander Cocktail Brewery. So, Wes, thanks for coming on, my man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. My pleasure.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
nice out here.
So, yeah, see, and
You
you're
guys
wearing a
got a
long
good
sleeve
scene.
shirt. We were talking about that earlier. It's like he thinks it's hot out. I mean, it is a little warm out,
There's a
but you're wearing a
breeze.
long sleeve shirt.
There's a breeze. You
Yeah.
It's nice under here.
Yeah.
It's classy.
It is.
You
The
really
breeze-
classed up this parking lot back here.
That's all Michael Dunlay. And Ian. I did absolutely nothing back here, to be honest with you. But yeah, thanks for coming on. Now you're representing Goodlander Cocktail Brewery, which I think is I mean, I've known you for a while, so it's just nice to have you on. But it's also nice to talk about that. So I guess let's just jump in and start talking about Goodlander. So give your spiel on Goodlander and what it is and what you're trying to do.
Yeah. You've heard this bit, obviously. Andrew was one of the first people I talked to about this for feedback. It was sort of bouncing around as an idea. Does it even make sense? Why hasn't anyone really done this? And we didn't know the answer to the question, but you were like, it sounds like a good idea. Go for it, right? So the story goes back a while. I remember like 10 years ago, I felt like I didn't understand why these big spirits companies like Tanqueray and Schweppes, why don't they make a canned gin and tonic? Like, why? Like, you've got the tonic, you've got the gin, you've got the canning and bottling lines, literally just can them together and sell them in 4-packs. It never made sense to me. So, those like ready-to-drink canned cocktails have been a big deal in the rest of the world for a while. They just, for whatever reason, didn't catch on, sort of the quality versions in the U.S. We've had Four
Really?
Loko.
So they do, like,
Yeah.
they exist elsewhere?
They do. And Tanqueray, as an example, I just saw an ad for a canned Tanqueray gin and tonic. It's coming. It's not with Schweppes. So, it's not my ideal version.
Sure.
No, so I remember thinking this a while ago, but the idea really started from, I thought, it was maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I started thinking, what if I could make a keg? I had worked in cocktail bars where we made kegged cocktails, just in corny kegs, and they weren't that complicated. And once you sort of figured out how to make slightly larger batches and get the measurements right, the CO2 is always the big hurdle because bartenders, we don't know really anything about pressurized systems,
Sure.
all that stuff. And so I thought, what if I could make a keg of something like a Moscow Mule and sell it to those neighborhood spots that get totally busy and just do not specialize in good cocktails?
Sure.
They've all got a dozen draft lines. They could take one of them, put a Moscow Mule on draft, and the bartender could just dispense it right off a tap over ice. And now their customers could have a new offering at the local pub instead of, so the foundation of the idea is really what if I can make that and it tasted as good as the one you get from the fancy bar downtown?
Sure.
So that was the idea. And then very quickly, sort of throwing it around, people were like, well, why hasn't this really happened before? Why does no one do this? And so I was trying to figure out the answer to that question. And I thought maybe it was you couldn't get the license. Maybe it was the numbers don't crunch. Maybe it was any number of things. And so I started doing my research and found that there was no reason why not to do it. And at the end, I had a business plan. So did that, got a loan from the URA. Some friends and family kicked in some money. Thank you all.
Cool.
And just opened it up on Memorial Day.
Yeah, sweet, man.
Yeah.
So how's it? Have you found the answer? Have you found out any of those answers yet?
Yeah, no,
Have you
it's
determined anything?
it's going really well. So, the pitch is basically we're following a very similar business model to a craft beer brewery, probably something more akin to East End when they opened in 2004. We're not canning or bottling anything. So, but I tell people it's just like when East End opened, we're just making kegs of cocktails instead of kegs of beer.
Right.
We're selling them in glass growlers for takeout sales. Like we're just starting to add tables and chairs in there. So it's very sort of scrappy, old school operation in that sense.
And that's where like the brewery aspect comes in, like cocktail brewery rather than cocktails.
That and really we're following the same business model of a brewery and using their sort of packaging, kegs and growlers to start. But scaling up to even larger batches, we're going to be, we're using exclusively brewing equipment. It's really just bright tank into kegs. So we can mix in a bright tank and filter and everything. So we're using just the back end of a brewing system. But, and I also thought, I had the idea of like cocktail brewery as a combo because it was sort of a question and an answer. It's maybe a little contentious with some folks. Like, you're not technically a brewery. I get it. But there's some marketing I'm also trying to do. Sure. I'm in business here. So trying to catch people's attention, ask some questions, have that question be sort of self-evident. Like, oh, it's a cocktail brewery.
Yeah.
And then, if they come and try the cocktails and the cocktails taste 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10, then I got them. It's over. You're hooked.
Yeah. Well, your branding's definitely sweet. Where's Goodlander come from?
So I knew I wanted to call it a cocktail brewery. I knew that. So I was just trying to find the name. And I was like, you may remember, I don't know if you did this, but like for months, it was like every word I heard, I was like trying it on to see if it would work. Everything I read or heard, I would stop. And I had this ongoing list. And it's hard because you have to find something where no one else has that name, specifically in the alcohol industry. I couldn't, if a winery or a brewery had the same name, I couldn't use it.
Yeah.
And, you're trying to find something that, like, you could find the website for. It was really, really hard. So, plus, I was just, like, trying to find the answer and sort of trying to, like, be scrappy and, like, collect some early tables and chairs, just stuff, like, maybe I was going to use someday. And so my neighbor was putting out some free artwork. And my spouse, like, grabbed it thinking I might like it. And it was this black and white print of this farm, what I think is in central PA. It was called Goodlander Farm. And I was like, Goodlander Cocktail Brewery. Goodlander Cocktail Brewery. And so you go and look it up. No one's got the website. There's no brewery. There's no winery. It sort of checked all these lists. And it sounded good enough. And I was like, great, let's go.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's cool.
Yeah, I also had a logo I really liked, which is very similar to this sort of like mountains with the sun coming up, sort of Laurel Highlands vibe.
Mm-hmm. And so like an orange slice?
The citrus slice came late. That was a design from Danny Gerwin. It was like a sun rising from behind the mountains. It's this old brick company or sidewalk company in Pittsburgh called Wadsworth. It's inspired by their logo. But I needed a name that fit with that.
Yeah.
So Goodlander with the sort of mountain and the citrus sun, and it sort of all fit.
That's cool.
Sure.
I dig it. So we're drinking East Side right now, and it's
great.
Super good. Let us know about this one. I mean, I think most people know what a Moscow Mule is, and what else did you bring? You brought
Mojito.
A mojito, yeah.
Yep.
Most people know what that is.
Yep.
But East Side was something that I'm newly familiar with, and it's dang good. So what's this all about?
Yeah. So the menu we're going for is like no one's really. There are really good cocktail companies that exist in L.A., Chicago, New York, Atlanta. No one's done a cocktail brewery yet. So in some sense, I'm like trying to figure out what is the product selection, seeing what people respond to. So my thinking was...
And what works, right? Because you're not going to be able to mass batch everything.
Totally.
Yeah.
So my thinking was like, let's go with crowd pleaser cocktails. Drinks that are like broadly appealing. I can get down with like a wild nettle mushroom cocktail with the best of them. But like most people want the Moscow Mule, the mojito, flavors like that, super approachable, broadly appealing. And things they've heard of before. Cocktails often get very intimidating for people. There's obscure ingredients, there's weird names. Like it's hard to ask a lot of questions. Some people don't even like to ask questions. So I was thinking, let's stick with sort of classics, modern classics, things that are broadly approachable. So I found this one, and I knew I wanted it to be a gin drink as soon as I read about it. So it's called the East Side. It comes from New York City in the mid-2000s.
Oh, so it's like relatively new.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. So it counts in that way as the modern classic. The sort of like the modern cocktail renaissance, if you would allow it, is like maybe from the late 90s, early 2000s to present day, when people were like, wait, what if we put fresh lime in this daiquiri? What would it taste like?
Yeah.
So this was sort of fairly early into that, based on a classic Southside cocktail, which is gin, lime, mint, and sugar. This a bartender in New York decided to add some cucumber. So it's sort of binds the flavors together. It's a little bit like a garden party style cocktail. Like it's almost brunchy in that way.
Yeah. It's great, honestly.
But it's super refreshing. Yes, goes down easy.
Yeah, it's annoying, honestly.
The thing about making cocktails all the time, I just want to drink beer. And those who like make beer all the time, when they get treated to a cocktail, they're like, this is great. There's something else. Yeah, it's coming off really, it's great. You know, like we're working really hard. Everything is done so much by hand. Like, you know, there's real cucumbers juiced into there. We zest a million limes. You know, it's very labor intensive to make each batch. So the labor is, I feel like, different from brewing. I've never worked in a brewery in that sense, but you know, the nice part for us is we can make multiple batches in a day. There's no fermentation time on a batch of cocktails. It's just you need everything to taste really good, go in really fresh, and not have a lot of sediment because it won't carbonate well.
Right.
So yeah, everything tastes really fresh, and you know it's holding up. That's a great part about a keg as a packaging system. Like a can or a bottle, you run the risk it's going to sit at room temperature. This is an issue the good breweries deal with all the time.
Sure.
And it would be the same issue if we bottled this East Side, but because we just keep it in kegs, it's cold all the time.
Yeah.
So it's that sort of super bright lime, that really nice cucumber sort of sticks around longer.
Yeah. And volume-wise, I mean, like, you know, ultimately, I'm sure you're going to get to the point where you're going to want to grow and start pushing this to not just direct to consumer, but looking at bars like you originally said and whatnot. But volume-wise, you're doing it at a level where like it should move quickly. Like it's not something that even has an opportunity to sit around.
Totally.
In regards to kegs. So that's dope. I mean, you obviously know a lot about cocktails. What's your background in said cocktails?
Yeah, I mean, I've been in restaurants forever. I was like a busboy and dishwasher at the Ligonier Tavern when I was like 13. It's like a summer job.
Sounds illegal.
Yes, totally. Yeah, it was, you know, so cut my teeth there. And that is really sort of how I got to this idea. I've worked in so many sort of mom and pop style spots that I was like, what if I could make them a keg so that they could have a new product, do some slightly better business at these sort of family run neighborhood spots. And like, could I make money making a keg, selling it to them? And that is happening. I'm on draft at 2 spots right now.
Yeah,
Which is
nice.
amazing.
Where
Good
at?
landers.
Shout them out.
The Bulldog Pub
Heck
in
yeah.
Morningside,
All right.
one of Pittsburgh's
They have
best,
Guinness.
one of Pittsburgh's best neighborhood spots, and then the Summit in Mount Washington,
Oh, okay.
which is
Yeah.
also a good neighborhood
Yeah,
spot.
for
They do
sure.
more cocktails for sure,
Yeah.
but it's still past muster for them. So they are buying 2 kegs like
that's
every
cool.
other week.
The Summit is honestly a great spot. I don't get up there much because it's Mount Washington, but I go to Bulldog all the time. I mean, I live in Stanton Heights, so
Yeah, it's right there.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah,
and
then
Jesse's awesome.
we're-
So.
yeah, Jesse's the best. And then we're dropping off a keg this week at Spirit Lounge. Yeah, trying to sell to places that like either don't really specialize in it or are doing such a big volume
Sure.
that having something like a mojito on draft makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, starting to grow that side of the business too. Trying to sell cocktails at events. You know, your wedding,
Yeah.
your big outdoor music festival, whatever.
Do you think
So
you
grind
do you
right
have
now.
plans to open up the space for like actual like single serve, like have a cup and sit here and go on a date?
We've been doing it for a minute now. It's sort of very low key fashion. If people ask, like, we'll pour you a draft. You can go hang out over there. Like, you know, honestly, we literally just bought tables and chairs from IKEA. They were delivered today. Like, this is very scrappy. I'm sort of hoisting this thing up. as best I can.
But you do plan to do that, like
Yeah.
operate it as
Yeah,
like a
sure.
sort of mini tap room.
Yeah, why not? Everyone's asking for it.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
what people want.
It
Now,
wasn't initially what you were thinking, though.
I was gonna see if we could sell enough growlers and
Yeah.
like sell enough kegs wholesale, and
Yeah.
like right now we're just like we could do it. We could handle the extra workload of serving drinks while we're open, so we might as well.
That's just what it is, like a staffing scenario, basically.
Yeah, totally.
For sure.
Yeah. And we went out and bought glassware. Like you have to go buy everything to
Yeah.
get yourself ready. It's so funny.
For sure.
Is that a better like profit margin selling like in the tap room? You make a little bit more money per glass than you do selling.
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's how all the breweries make their money right now. Is like if you have a bustling tap room, like you're making good money there because your pour cost is a lot lower. But
yeah.
really, I'm hoping to make the main point of the business wholesale. That would be like the great victory. If I sold more kegs out to these spots, that's really what I'm trying to do. But, that's a long game. It takes a while to really sort of like sell enough to make it all worthwhile.
So do you have any plans of like way down the line, or I mean, things change of course, but are you looking at maybe like canning or doing like that, or
definitely. I mean, a canning line it's just so expensive. It's intimidating right now, but at some point, I don't know, if we were selling enough cocktails, like there are some cocktails that would can very well. A gin and tonic would can perfectly. A whiskey highball with Japanese whiskey and seltzer. You could can something like that, and if they got it room temperature or somebody took a month to drink them, they're not going to go bad or sort of taste old. So yeah, I mean, I don't have plans for it, but I'm like, it feels like I'm out on the chessboard now. I'm trying to like figure out what's the strategy to make this work. I'm just trying to pursue the business wherever I can go find it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We switched to mojito.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Oh, so great.
Yeah, definitely.
So we just
Also
we just just reformulated this mojito. It's a little bigger and more robust.
Good mint
But trying to
backbone there.
Yes.
Yeah, really.
We're trying to find
get it
that
on the back end
that
pretty
mint
nice.
flavor where it tastes like somebody just muddled it.
Yeah, it does.
Absolutely.
It sits there on the back of the tongue nicely.
It's a really delicate syrup. When we make mint syrup, we have like a minute to get it in kegs and get the kegs purged, and it starts to oxidize really quickly. But if we get it trapped in the cocktail,
You can still taste that.
So
like,
will that
stays really happy.
When that oxidizes, will it change the character, or does it just dissipate? Like it just goes away?
No. It like the syrup turns like from golden brown to like black if
Ugh.
it sits.
Oh wow!
And it just tastes like there's like more chlorophyll. It tastes muddy and old mint.
more like grass,
Not
or-
what you want it to. It's just not what it's supposed to be.
Yes,
Yeah.
it doesn't taste like the freshly muddled
Yeah.
mint. Yeah.
You definitely get like the green, like fresh taste to this on the like you said. It kind of sits on your tongue after on the finish.
but by no means overwhelming.
No. I love like mint iced tea in the summer,
Yeah.
mint chocolate chip ice cream. I'm
Big mint.
big
guy.
mint guy, but I don't like. I prefer fruit gum over mint gum, so I don't know what that means. I don't like peppermint.
I prefer cinnamon gum if we're getting into gum. But favorite gum? You
Favorite-
chew a lot of gum, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm actually sort of a toothpick guy. There's
okay.
a cinnamon mint toothpick
I used to
Oh,
that
do
is
that.
very good. It's
Yeah.
the best combination of cinnamon and mint.
What's the brand?
Preserve? Highly recommend it.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this might be a weird question, but like when you, I mean, I guess you also are just starting to sell to bars, but like when you sell to bars, are you selling as Goodlander? Or are you like, hey, like you can say this is yours? Or
No.
are you like, no, this is a Goodlander cocktail.
Yeah. I'm trying to get on the draft list.
Yeah,
The
cool.
chalkboard.
Sweet. Yeah, which makes
I would like it to
makes
say,
sense. That's what I thought too, but-
Guinness, Dancing Gnome, Goodlander, something like along those lines.
Yeah.
And I've given ABV. They pour it on draft. So most places were telling them, grab a 12-ounce or 14-ounce cup, scoop ice in it, and pour the cocktail right on top. Our operation is, one of our sort of principles is we produce no unnecessary waste. We compost all our spent produce and all our spent paper products every week. We're only producing like a half a bag of garbage a week. We're trying to get to zero waste.
That's great.
So, I don't give a rip if somebody garnishes it or not, or puts a straw in it or not. Like, the less waste, the better. So, it's also how we sell out of the tap room. Like, we got nice growlers if you want. You could pay a deposit, take it home, bring it back. We'll wash it and disinfect it and sort of refill it for the next person. But we've had people bring in, like, their own little jugs. Like, we had someone bring in a plastic milk jug, and I'm like, you want cocktails in there? You got it. Like, go have a good time. So we're trying to make these really good cocktails, but be pretty low-key about it, too. But, you know, they're robust. Like, it's not a super delicate cocktail. Like, if it goes in a plastic jug and someone drinks it an hour from now, like, it's still going to taste pretty good, so I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I like that mindset. I mean, I think that, like, yeah, early on I did not have that about beer, and I think that, like, there's part of me that still doesn't necessarily have that about beer.
Like, it needs to be handled correctly. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. In the
beer's
sense,
different though, because you've got, like, I don't know, you've got proteins that affect head retention. Like, there's a different thing there.
Yeah.
And how you store it and handle it and transport it.
Spirits are more resilient.
Yeah, I mean, yes, and you know. It's also, a cocktail's very different because there's a lot of preservative in there. Sugar is a great preservative. We add a little bit of salt to each cocktail because that makes the flavors pop. Alcohol, spirits, great preservative. Like, so things are sort of like trapped in a slightly different way.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm just absolving you.
Yeah, I appreciate it, but I genuinely I like the low key mentality of it because. I mean, you obviously care about the liquid because these are great.
Yeah.
But I also think it's important to be approachable, and it sounds like that was the whole point in the first place, is to give somebody an option who is too intimidated to ask a question but knows that they can still get something great easily. So.
Well, you look, there are other advantages to being on draft, and one is, like, you know, cocktails, you can't normally sample them. You never get to. Like, these... You can get a sample of it.
Yeah.
And this was one other way to sort of remove a barrier of, like, intimidation. I take it for granted that everybody knows everything about cocktails because all I do is think about them or talk about them. But, you know, I still come across people that, like, have never heard of a mojito. And, like, you know, it doesn't surprise me after a certain point. You just come across people who, for whatever reason, haven't come across it. So I'm always trying to find ways to, like, make sure I'm not playing that, like, I'm like too much of an expert. I remember what it's like to not remember anything.
These are gluten free, yeah.
Yeah,
like natural.
Yeah,
I was gonna say.
Yeah,
kind of like the whole like cider.
With it, yeah.
You know, while I got you, I was gonna say that, like, you know, part of my business plan, I was thinking breweries are gonna be in love with this.
Yeah.
Like, it makes sense because they get people. A group of 12 walks in. One person's like, I don't drink beer.
Yeah.
What else do you have? And so obviously cider and mead sort of fit that role. But if you could have something else, that makes a lot of sense. But then I realized that no brewery has an ice machine. Only the rare brewery has an ice machine. You guys don't need ice for anything, so you don't have an ice machine.
Right.
And I was like, man, I spent a year and a half researching, writing a business plan, and breweries is like one of the top sort of potential customers, and that just got scratched off after I opened. I didn't even realize.
Yeah.
Very funny.
Well, I mean, you know, when we, I guess this is multifaceted. To your original point, it is a good idea for breweries. I mean, I think as we grow and expand into the new space, we have more taps over there. One of our goals over there is to have a non.
Do you have ice over there?
Tap on? We do not.
Not yet.
We had already been working on that whenever Wes and I started talking. But yeah, not yet. We probably have the space for it. We can take something out. But I think that the way that and the reason I asked about gluten free is, like, you know, you assume it is, but you never know, I guess. But I think we get that question more than anything else. You know, like, I think that if somebody's like just not a beer drinker and they come to a brewery, they kind of get it. Like, but you know, someone who's celiac, like, they don't have an option. They truly can't drink a beer, and I would love for them to still be able to come enjoy the space in their own way.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way I look at it. So we want to have a non-beer on, but, like, also we might get a keg of RX because, like, having the gluten-free aspect is, like, more important to me than that. However, whenever we first opened, we used to have Maggie's Farm on. Like, so anytime we didn't have 8 drafts flowing, we would throw in a keg of Maggie's Farm, and we never had ice. We would just pour it straight. Just straight up 10-ounce glass of Dark and Stormy, baby. Like,
yeah.
We priced it accordingly.
That's very low-key, man. That is super low-key.
People bought it, and no one cared.
Give yourself more credit.
Yeah, so, you know,
Bring your own
it's
cooler.
still out there if you're
yes,
cool with
totally.
it. But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is, yeah. I guess the other thing, too, is, like, I also want people to come drink my beer, and I feel like this is what I'm telling you.
Competition.
Just to drink this.
People come, you'll be drinking this.
Yeah, oh, dude, 100%. Well, that's the other thing too. Is like this is not beer ABVs, right? These are cocktail ABVs.
Yeah, that's like 13.3.
Yeah,
so we say sort of like something like a 6-ounce serving is the right size for that.
Yeah, and for the listeners, we are drinking them in small cups. We're not just like taking back full growlers of this stuff. But to that point, like being in the beer industry, you're used to volume, and like when you can't volume.
No, totally. No, it's funny. Like, printing cocktails with ABVs. I actually feel like now that I'm doing it, I'm surprised it doesn't happen more. You go to however many places and like you order a cocktail and you're kind of like, I don't really know what's in this. Yeah. I worked at Hidden Harbor and we made some very, very rum powerful cocktails. Yeah. We like really never sat down to analyze.
They do put it on now though.
They do? That's great.
Well, maybe. I know that like they have like the shark.
Oh, right. There's
like
we had the shark warning.
The zombies.
Yeah. So maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Maybe they don't.
Yeah.
Maybe they
That's
don't.
an old school tiki tradition. They would put like, skulls or something next to the ones that are extra potent.
Well, that would take, I mean, how are you doing it the way that we do with like refractometers and stuff?
No,
or like
I'm just doing it through math.
Yeah.
I have a measure in a volume of liquid. I've got some amount of vodka at some proof.
Oh, that's right, because you're mixing it in certain ratios.
Totally.
So you're able to figure it out in that manner.
Yeah.
Well, is it so it would be the same with a normal cocktail then?
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah. Okay.
You just got to like figure out how much water goes into a cocktail. You shake a cocktail, some of the ice cubes melt.
For sure. You pour it in ice.
Yes.
It's gonna pour down too.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Do you think that? I guess this is a personal question, but not a personal question, but like this is like a subjective question. Is that because you think it would turn people off, or is that because people want the ability to zhuzh it themselves? Or like make you think it's a higher alcohol, but it's not?
What, like why people should be printing ABVs?
Why people don't?
Why people don't? I think it's like they're not expected to. They're not expected to. Nobody asked them to.
Yeah,
there's not like a big groundswell of demand. Like I need to know. And
that is weird. I guess it's just considered one drink.
Yes,
it's like, what
totally.
I mean? It's like, it doesn't matter
but like,
ABV
look,
it's one drink.
I've made old fashions at places where it was like 1 3/4 ounces of 80 proof booze, and I've also made old fashions, so it was like 2 1/4 ounces of 100 proof. There's like a big difference there.
Sure.
I don't want to get up on my soapbox too much, but it's like, if you're going to have an alcoholic beverage, you're going to choose a cocktail, like you should have at least some idea of how much alcohol is actually in there.
Sure.
Because, you might turn on your car 20 minutes later and like drive home, and if you don't really have any idea, it can be dangerous.
I mean, especially in regards to tiki. I mean, aren't there like old school zombies that are like literally just blended rums?
Pretty much, yes.
Like 100% nothing else goes into it but 6 different rums, and like they're delicious. I've had some times with Pete, but yeah, that is crazy to think about.
I'm all for getting wild. Let it cut loose, do your thing, whatever you want to do.
No, but to your point,
for awareness.
Without a doubt. I mean, legally speaking, in the state of Pennsylvania, we're not required to put the ABV on a can of beer, but I feel the exact same way. Like there are a handful of breweries that don't do it, and it's like I don't know. You put India Pale Ale on this, I don't know if it's 4% or 10%. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think that should be a guessing game. As to what it is.
No,
like,
you're exactly right.
Like, there's onus on the consumer.
Which one can I drink while I'm cutting my grass?
Yeah, you can go to Untapped. You can do that stuff, but like, should you have to?
Right.
Totally.
So, all the weird laws in PA and that they don't make you put ABV on.
Yeah.
Like what's going on?
I think there's like certain sales laws around it. Like if you're selling direct to consumer, you don't. I think if you're selling to
that's still dumb.
Yeah. If you're selling to a bar, I think you might have to do it, but if you go directly to consumer, there's no rules. If you go to like none.
It's Thunderdome.
Name on it.
So what all cocktails? So obviously the 3 that we have here: the Moscow Mule, the Mojito, the East Side.
Mm-hmm.
Have you made others?
Yeah, so that's actually kind of a funny part of this whole thing. So to be able to do this, I had to get licensed. We had to get Goodlander licensed as a distillery to be able to specifically make a keg of a mixed
because you're using
spirit.
Actual neutral spirit.
Yeah. And sell it wholesale to a bar or restaurant who could resell it. I had to get licensed. We had to get licensed as a distillery. So I hired Flaherty and O'Hara law office downtown, the liquor lawyers. Shout out to them. And they were like, pretty much like, man, we've been doing this business forever. No one has ever like come to us with this idea of like kegged spirit cocktails licensed as a distillery. And I was like, but is it legal? And so they did their research, and they were like, yeah, we could do this. Let's do it. So went out and got that license, and I don't know what it's like for a brewery, as sort of a small, scrappy operation. The hardest part for me was to even apply for the license. I had to have a physical location. They want to know where you're going to put a distillery. You can't be next to a daycare or a nitroglycerin plant. So so I had to find a place, sign a lease, and then finish the business plan and sort of hoist the money up. But there's these other funny parts of it, and one is that the TTB regulates Goodlander's cocktails. So if I want to make a new cocktail, I have to send the TTB a recipe and the steps on how I'm going to make it. And they review it and let me know if I'm allowed to make that cocktail or if I have to amend the recipe or something like that. So it's a bit of a hassle, and we're a small business here, so it's like hard to, in that sense, it's hard to create new cocktails because we have to formulate the batch and then submit the recipe and then wait some period of time, and then we're allowed to make it.
What is that typical period of time?
Once it was like 2 weeks, once or twice it was 3 or 4 weeks. I think it just depends on how busy they are. So we're sticking in that sense with trying to go with 4 cocktails that are sort of on the menu, and then once we get everything sort of humming, we're going to start to add more and more cocktails. There's a million cocktails I want to make.
So is it you
long
said
story
4?
Short, yeah, it's
these 4 that you brought tonight?
No, I didn't bring the Tom Collins tonight. So we
Tom
make
Collins.
a Moscow Mule, which is really meant to be sort of the workhorse star of the show, which Andrew's pouring
it
right
yeah.
now. Mojito for the rest of the summer. This East Side, and then we make a Tom Collins, super old school cocktail, totally overlooked. But
I know the name, but I couldn't tell you what's in a Tom Collins.
It's literally just gin, lemon, sugar, club soda. We add a dash of bitters because it makes it better. But it's like this austere cocktail that has very few ingredients, and no one ever pays it attention. But if you make it right, it's like one of the best sort of balms for a hot, steamy day. You drink that and your sort of sweat dissipates immediately. It's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big gin fan, so I can. Yeah,
What?
enjoy that.
So I think where I was going with this, are there any cocktails that you personal favorites that you haven't put out yet that you want to?
Yeah, there's this bar in Houston called Anvil Bar. It's one of my sort of favorites ever. For a couple years, they did nitro rum and cokes. They would buy cases of Mexican Coke, and they would find this sort of heady, sort of barrel-aged, steamy, Caribbean rum, combine them together and serve them on nitro, and it would have a Guinness-like head on top. And I cannot wait to make a version of that cocktail. I can't wait. I think about it all the time.
Can you put that in a growler?
Sure. You bring me a plastic milk jug. I'll fill you a rum.
Yeah. It wouldn't pour with that nice frothy head, but you could definitely do it. Yeah,
No, there's all sorts of fun ones. There's the world of possibilities out there. It would be interesting. So many of these drinks right now are definitely geared towards summer. Moscow Mule is year round. A Moscow Mule tastes good in January. It tastes good in June. But a mojito
is a summer
mojito you really imagine drinking in the summer, which makes a lot of sense.
It's a cucumber.
What does the menu look like as sort of this fall season comes, which is coming faster than I'm ready for?
August, everybody.
Bring it on.
I don't know yet. I really don't know. We're kind of flying by the seat.
Is there anything you can't make? Any type of cocktail that you just can't do?
No, not really. I mean, we're really focusing on these highball cocktails, the bubbly ones. That's really that makes the most sense for a cocktail brewery, brewing equipment, kegging,
Draft.
so on.
Yeah.
It makes sense to do the bubbly cocktails. But we could make a batch of, old fashioned and put it in a keg and just pour it off, push it out via nitro on really low pressure, and it'll work. But as a distillery, I should say, we're not distilling any of our booze. We're buying it. There are these very large spirits brokers that can pull off 260-gallon totes of spirits from big distilleries, and you buy them at a lower cost. The nice part is you can get samples. So that's what I did. I got samples of like all the vodkas and found the one that was like the right price and the right flavor, and I could make a good cocktail with it. So in some sense, right now, I'm limited by what I could go find. So.
Well, in that same sense of talking about like a rum and coke, are there producers that do like legit good funky Jamaican rums in totes?
Yeah, it exists. Yeah, there's one guy in particular that I was actually just going to call. His name is Ed Hamilton, not to give away all my trade secrets, but he's amazing. He's called the Minister of Rum. Goes all around tasting rums, finding the good ones, imports them, mixes them, bottles them himself. His rums are great. They're available in Pennsylvania. Any of his rums are really good. Some are blends, some are single origin. But if I were going to find some rum, I'd call Ed and be like, how much for a really good sort of dry Cuban rum or something like that.
Or this is what I'm looking for.
Yes.
Like what? Yeah.
That's cool to have that contact. I mean, I think one thing too, like just for listeners' sake, like just for an insight into the industry is like buying spirits in this way is actually very common. Like super, super, super common. I think the people would be surprised at how many spirits they have are actually just this that are rebranded. So I'm just throwing that out there for the sake of throwing it out there.
I agree. No shame in the game, but there's lots of people out there that buy big totes of a neutral grain spirit, and then they finish it in-house. They distill it one more time. They do a funky filtration. They have a proprietary water.
Right.
And then they bottle it as their vodka, and in some sense it is.
Yeah.
And no shame in the game, except sometimes where they mark up the price like 4 times as much as it needs to be for a spirit they didn't actually make.
Right.
That's where I'm kind of like, this is annoying.
Yeah. But that's also like, I guess, goes back to the cocktail brewery aspect of it, which is like, I like that a lot.
Yeah, in some sense, it's my malt,
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, because it's the same thing. We get samples of that. We check that stuff out, and we figure out like what we're gonna.
You don't grow the grain. You don't malt it.
Yeah, I'm not a maltster. You're not a distiller. You just have a distiller's license.
Yeah.
But no, that's cool, man. And these have all been phenomenal. I guess the last thing that I'd love to chat with you about is. I know you brought one, but the NA stuff.
Yeah,
NA stuff
totally.
As well.
Yeah, so marketing ourselves as sort of a cocktail brewery, but we recognize that like not everybody drinks, not everybody always wants to. So we make some non-alcoholic stuff. I'm trying to I've been searching for a better category name than we make non-alcoholic drinks, because you're leading with sort of what is lacking.
That's a little weird too.
Mocktails doesn't work. If anyone out there has got a better word for this, let me know. But yeah, we make some non-alcoholic drinks. So some that are super family friendly, like we make sparkling pink lemonade, and we make a strawberry basil lemonade. We make a jalapeno limeade, all these sort of funky flavors. But the one that we like the most so far is this cold brew oolong tea.
Is that what you brought tonight?
Yeah. So it doesn't really look like
Andrew,
much.
I'm driving.
Non-alcoholic, folks.
But it's cold brew Taiwanese oolong. It's called milky oolong. It's got this sort of creamy texture, but it's really sort of fruity, like stone fruit and peaches. And it's literally just tea and water and a little bit of CO2. And it's kind of amazing. Very low in caffeine. This is the thing that, from a staff perspective, we drink this all day long.
Definitely get the peach.
Yeah. This would be a really good afternoon. Well, I was going to say afternoon coffee alternative, but I stopped drinking coffee in the afternoon. But still, it'd be a good afternoon coffee alternative.
Totally.
What's the caffeine level on this bad boy? You got to start putting that on there.
Yeah, I know.
No, this is great though.
It's super flavorful, unlike anything I've really had. It actually, in some sense, reminds me of some beers where it's dry up front and then the back end is sort of juicy. Most cocktails are the opposite. They're sort of big, juicy, sweet up front, and then maybe they sort of dry out at the end. This is the opposite of that.
Yeah,
so it's kind of fun.
It's like seltzery. And like,
yeah.
But it is weird because there is like a creaminess to it. But you said it's like tea and water. Like, where is that coming from? So
there's this, the world of tea, man, is like massive. And, I think cold brew tea is a totally under-tapped thing. There's a lot of very delicious oolong teas out there. I mean, the world of tea is
strange. It does
huge.
Have there's no sugar in this at all?
No.
It has like a big body.
Yes.
Like it's dry and it's like character, but it still has like a mouthfeel that like.
So milky oolongs from Taiwan are a big deal in some communities, and it's such a big deal that there's like knockoff milky oolongs. But if you grow them right, the tea at sort of a high elevation, and it's some sort of varietal that I don't know the name of, and you sort of harvest it, oxidize it, and sort of package it well, you can brew tea that has this sort of creamy texture and some sort of big, juicy, fruity back end. I've had one that tasted for real like cotton candy, like exactly like cotton candy, and it was just tea leaves and water. So
that's wild.
This is what we're working with this tea company out of the Netherlands called Cruzio Tea, and this is the one from their selection that we like the most. But they're a really cool company because they, this woman Kiona, she travels all over Asia and goes and picks her tea herself. So when you buy it from her, she's like, "Oh, I talked to this farmer on this hillside who grows it this way. That's why it tastes like that."
Wow.
So it's pretty cool. That's the one for sure that we all are really happy with.
Well, yeah, I think about this too. Like, I'm sure you've already thought about this, but just because I'm thinking about it, there's like definitely cafes that like sell alcohol. Like Orbis in Mount Lebanon and like places like that are truly, coffee shop cafe type stuff. But like this would work on draft so well at a place like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Like
it
would anywhere. But from a business perspective, a lot of people don't want to take up an alcoholic draft with a non-alcoholic draft.
Yeah.
But it's really good.
We've had some places, like some events, where people buy a keg of something non-alcoholic, like a jalapeno limeade.
Yeah.
And then they have tequila on hand, so they can mix a cocktail as easy as can be and serve something NA. I was like...
That's actually a good way to market it,
I know,
honestly.
totally.
Holy cow, that would be delicious.
I wrote that long business plan and never had that idea along the way, and someone else told me. Yeah, it'd be great. Yeah, it's so funny.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, hey, thanks for coming and sharing all this stuff.
This is great.
It's been phenomenal, and thanks for spreading the word of Goodlander. Why don't you give listeners, let them know where to find you?
Yeah, so Goodlander is located adjacent to Bakery Square. It's on Hamilton Avenue, 6614 Hamilton Avenue. There's a good coffee roaster over there, KLVN Coffee. We're like adjacent to them. Right by East End. Everybody knows where East End is. Yeah. They've been there for a minute. So we're just open right now. We, super scrappy things. So we make the drinks, get everything ready on Monday, make the drinks on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and then we open up for growler hours on Fridays and Saturdays from basically 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. And then the rest of the week, we're selling kegs out in the world. So you can find us on draft at Bulldog Pub, The Summit, and Spirit Lounge to start. And so we're starting there and trying to grow this thing.
Heck yeah. Well, go get yourself some Goodlander. It's worth it.
Yeah. Delicious.
Yeah. Appreciate it, Wes. Thanks for coming on, my man.
Thanks,
Wes.
Guys.
Yeah, we'll be back.
Up here, I guess a little like watch, listen, learn. We're gonna answer the questions from the reviews. Just
a little bit different, but we got some stuff.
Mixed bag, we'll call it.
It's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun. What do you want to start with?
Andrew figured out the acronym. I never would have got it. So
I don't know if I figured it out.
I'm pretty sure you did.
But I think it's
all the evidence is pointing.
Yeah.
To you getting it right.
Yeah.
So I'll read it off, then you can say what you think it is. So to refresh everyone, it was DG. RBCIT22.
Dancing Gnome, Roadmap Brewing, collab in Texas, 22, as in 2022.
And
I'm gonna take that as an invitation.
he knows
Be there. Yeah, D
Bakes was
15. Yeah, I'm pretty confident. That that's a good gentleman, Dustin Baker, who has some Pittsburgh roots and is part of Roadmap, owns Roadmap Brewing in Texas. So, thanks for listening.
Yeah,
and thanks for giving an acronym. And man, let's make that happen.
Where in Texas? Do you know where they're?
They're in Austin.
Oh, I've never
No,
been.
they're in San Antonio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
never been there either.
Yeah. I'm almost positive. I'm gonna say San Antonio. Confidently, I'm saying San Antonio. Yeah, it's San Antonio. Yeah, cool. Thanks for that. I hope that's it. If it's not it, and even weirder so, if for some reason it's not Dustin, shoot us an email. Shoot us a tweet.
If you don't want to collaborate,
let us know. And hey, I'm still up for that though, even if that's not what you meant. So let us know what you actually meant. Awesome.
I think that's right.
I think it sounds good.
Second question from the reviews was you can only have 4 beers for the rest of your life. 1 breakfast, lunch, dinner, and dessert. Only use Lustra once. Starting with breakfast.
All right, you want me to go?
Sure.
Guinness.
Okay.
All way.
Yeah. You've done that many times?
It's the absolute best breakfast beer.
Couldn't think of one for breakfast.
It's the best.
I was thinking like a Saison DuPont or something, but
that'd be good.
I guess I'll go with that. I didn't really have a good one in mind, so
yeah. I'm not a big breakfast drinker, so
yeah,
it's tough. But Guinness is to me is one that I can
I can see
old
that.
Piper's days, early morning soccer games, posting up with a Bloody Mary and a Guinness at the bar.
Yeah,
God, the before times. So Guinness for breakfast. You're going Saison DuPont?
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
I'm not confident in that. I could be swayed, but we'll say
right.
that.
We
for
didn't
now.
have much time to think about it,
right?
And hey, we like our variety.
It's
really tough to pigeonhole into 4 meals. Lunch.
Tipo pills.
Good one. It's a great one.
Light.
Yeah.
Love it.
I like it.
Goes with a lot. I pair it with a sandwich. I'm a big sandwich guy for lunch.
Big sandwich guy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go lunch from Maine Brewing Company.
Cheeky.
Yeah. Also, it's just great, and I think I like a nice firm West Coast IPA with my sandwich.
There you go.
That I have for lunch.
Yeah.
Tacos sound pretty good though too.
Sure.
I mean, usually
goes with anything.
Usually, I eat a peanut butter sandwich if I'm being honest, and I don't think any beer goes that well with peanut butter sandwich. Guinness probably would.
Yeah, Guinness.
But
fine.
this is lunch, and Guinness was my breakfast pick. So, lunch from Maine Brewing Co.
All right. Dinner.
I'm not going to say dinner.
I'll pull your mic out right now if you do.
That's totally fair. I feel like I have to do Einbecker. It's got to be Einbecker pills. Yeah. It's there's nothing that wouldn't pair with.
Yeah.
And it's just,
I was thinking that or Tipo for my Pilsner pick.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've had Tipo.
I know, because we can't get any more.
Yeah.
If anybody has a hookup on Tipo, let us know.
I just slotted Lustra in here because I wanted to pick it. So
yeah, that's fair.
Lustra for dinner.
That's good.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
All right, dessert. I kind of struggled with this too. I wanted some type of like mixed culture, or sour.
Sure.
I couldn't like pick one because I just thought that would be good. Most desserts are sweet. That would pair good with that. I had a good one. I mean, this has been a long time. With 3 Floyds. It was called Pear Bear. Pear flavored. And I like pear candies and stuff like that. So that was I really like that. But it's been so long that I don't know
how prevalent are pear candies. I don't think I've ever
Jelly
seen
Bellies.
a pear candy.
Jelly Belly pear flavored.
Yeah,
They're good.
Those are good. I like pear a lot. I'm a big pear fan.
Yeah. So I'm not strong on that one either, but that's where I landed for now.
Yeah,
How
I like
about you?
that. I would say Allagash Golden Brett.
Okay.
That's the one I'm going to say for dessert because I really love that beer. I know, traditionally speaking, those beers can do really well with food. But I'm looking at it more as like that beer is my dessert, not being paired with the dessert.
Okay.
And I really like that beer. I almost was going to do Lustra, but, I feel that beer's... I can have memories of that one.
Yeah.
But that's runner-up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not happy with my breakfast and dessert picks. I wish I could have something more conclusive, but
That's okay. There's always next time.
That's life.
But thanks to Mason _S7 for interacting with us while simultaneously giving a review.
Yeah.
That's our pick for winner this time. We're gonna do it. We're gonna give stuff away. So leave a review. I'm gonna give stuff away, and Mason _S7 is the winner for this week. So Mason _S7. If you're listening to this podcast, shoot me an email, andrew@dancinggnomebeer.com, and I'll hook you up, and you'll get a little prize. And that one person every month. I almost said week again, but we don't do this every week. One person every month. We'll pick a review, and you'll get something.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get something.
Be cool about it, guys. No shenanigans here.
Yeah, no shenanigans. I mean, I guess it depends on the shenanigans. Shenanigans can be fine, but keep it pleasant. Keep it pleasant.
Moving on.
Keep it pleasant.
All right. So anything in the watch, listen, learn realm that you want to talk about here first?
I feel like I watched a whole lot of stuff, and none of it got retained.
Dave, have you been watching Dave?
I'm not into it. Really?
See, the first two I didn't think were as good, but the following episodes I thought have been pretty good.
I think I stopped after 4. It's not that I'm not. I'll watch it for sure.
Yeah.
I just wasn't like the first 4 I watched like religiously, and then I was like, I got busy and haven't really gone back to it. The new Rick and Morty's been phenomenal. I know you're not a Rick and Morty fan, but season 5 of Rick and Morty has been just incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really great. If you're into Rick and Morty, or you're on the fence about Rick and Morty, or didn't like season 4, so questioning season 5. Season 5 is wonderful.
Is that a thing? Was season 4 not received very well?
I think it was okay. It was received okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a nerd about it, and then I really like the show, but I'm not a nerd about it, and I don't go on like Reddit forums and read what people think. But my personal opinion was that it was the weakest season, and it didn't have a good flow to it, and like it was like kind of forced humor, where season 5 is back to really, really good, strong, solid cerebral humor. So yeah, super into it. I watched Willy's Wonderland, which is a really weird Nicolas Cage film that was really good. Really, really good.
Really? What was that on?
Yeah, it was free. Hulu, Amazon,
It's one of
like
those.
that.
Okay.
Free with subscription.
Yeah.
What
was it about?
It is wild. So it's the general premise is that there is this like Chuck E. Cheese style place, like a locally owned Chuck E. Cheese style place, and the original owners were like devil worshippers, and they killed themselves, and their like spirits went into the like band
animatronic. Okay.
And so they like started killing all these people and kids, and so instead of destroying the place, they like the people of the town just made a deal that they would like feed them people.
Oh,
so
weird.
Like, Nick Cage is like just rolling through town, and he like gets a flat tire, and they like, I don't know, they tell him he can like get out if he cleans the place, but then he doesn't say a single word the entire movie. Never speaks, but he just absolutely destroys these things. It's wonderful. It is so great. It is so great.
He's doing. I just saw. There's a movie called Pig.
Yeah, Pig.
It's coming out. It's a Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. He does talk in that one. I want to see that too. Mike D just told me about this the other day, and it was right after I watched Willy's Wonderland, and also Mandy. Such a weird film. I don't know if you've seen that. That's a Nick Cage that just gotta see. So weird. And yeah, so I'm super excited for Pig. He's really like niched himself out here.
He's doing weird
like
shit.
This bizarro.
Yeah.
Actor, but
what did I just watch? Into the Spider-Verse, and he voiced one of the alternate Spider-Man.
Yeah,
that's another like it's an animation. I just can't. I don't know. Like it was okay, but I just feel I don't know.
I was a fan of it, but
it was good.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I guess I like animation more than you do.
Yeah, I think so. Do you watch I Think You Should Leave on Netflix?
Oh, yes, I sure do. I sure do. I forgot. I watched it all in one day. The first day it came out, I watched the entirety of it. So I've gone back and watched a couple of the very short episodes, but I almost forgot. It doesn't feel like it was this month, but you're right, it was.
Yeah,
it just came out. Yeah.
Yeah, I watched it in bits. So, what is there, 6? I think there's 6 episodes, 5 or 6.
6 or 8, and they're 15 minutes long. 6 would make sense.
I think it's 6. And I watched over a couple of days, and I actually went back and watched a lot of season 1 again.
Yeah,
season.
What are your thoughts on season 1 versus season 2?
I feel like there were funnier skits in season 1, but there are still some really funny things in season 2.
I agree. Season 1 as a whole is
the first episode of season 1 is unbelievable.
It's untouchable. Yeah. But I thought that the last episode of season 2 was the best one.
I think the first episode was my favorite of season 2.
First one's good. That's the one with cough and flop.
And everything is upside down. The guy in the suit.
The donut.
What's the donut?
I'm sorry, not the donut. The hot dog.
That's
the very first thing. Everything is upside. You're talking about
Carl Havoc.
Carl Havoc.
Yeah, that was my favorite.
I don't want to be around anymore. You mean like you don't want to be around anymore?
I don't know.
Don't want to be alive anymore?
That was so funny.
There's
too much fucking shit on me. I can't breathe.
It's the chin.
Yeah.
Right. Carl Havoc's probably the best one.
That's probably not for everyone. It's so dumb.
You know what's crazy though is as I watch it and I'm howling, I'm like, I have to be the only person that thinks this is funny. Like, these are absolutely ridiculous. And everybody that I talk to is like, this is the best show I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So, like, there's plenty of people out there. If people are going to sit here and listen to us rattle off stuff for an hour and a half every month, there has to be at least 60% of people that listen to us are going to like that show or find something in it to like.
I would say if you haven't watched it, watch episode 1, season 1.
Yeah.
If you like that, keep going.
Yeah,
if you're like, this is the stupidest shit ever, be like, it's never gonna. You'll never like it.
Yeah.
So,
but dang, it is definitely so good, and yeah.
I started watching White Lotus on HBO.
I don't know what that is.
It's I guess it's just a little limited series here about this like resort hotel in Hawaii, and it's just following like different groups of guests that come there. Pretty good cast. The guy that like directed, his name's Mike Lee, and I would have known who it was, but they show like him. They do like an inside the episode thing, like they do on HBO sometimes. And he's definitely been in like comedy shows, like you would recognize him. So there's funny parts to it, but it's not like I Think You Should Leave or anything like that. Yeah. So it's good though. I mean, I feel like HBO, pretty much everything they do is pretty quality. So
always.
Yeah. I watched on HBO Max that movie. I texted you about it. No Sudden Move. It's like set in the 50s. It's like who's in it?
Cheadle,
Don Cheadle, Benicio del Toro, John Hamm, Matt Damon shows up in it. Kieran Culkin, pretty good cast. Julia Fox.
Is it new?
No, it just came out. It was probably going to be like released in theaters, but then they just put it on HBO Max. No Sudden Move. So it's set in the 50s, and it has to do with like, it's kind of like a heist type movie. They're trying to like steal these plans from. It has to do with like the automobile industry back in the day, like the Big Three and all that stuff. So it's good. I really liked it. I think it's a. Soderbergh was the director, so check it out.
I'll definitely check it out.
That's all I had for a watch.
Yeah, I'll leave it there.
I haven't been listening to anything new.
I've been listening to, I guess I'd be remiss to not say that Spanish Love Songs came out with a new song, which is cool. It's like a B-side song. It's like an old song, but it's a released song. They didn't release it before. But I love Spanish Love Songs, so seeing a new little, and then they did a cover of a Death Cab for Cutie song, so it was like a nice little two song EP
right in your wheelhouse.
They put out. Yeah, without a doubt. And it was awesome. It was just great to see them doing new stuff and still doing stuff, and even if it's old stuff, at least recording stuff. And Yeah, man, I love them so much. But my real answer to this is that I'm not. I think I've talked about this before. Like, I'm actually not a huge podcast person. Like, I don't listen to very many podcasts, and but I've been listening to this one motorcycle podcast a lot called High Side Low Side. And it's interesting because, like, I always in my head I think, like, who's gonna listen to, like, Jaron and I talk on a monthly basis? But that's like all this is about. It's just like motorcycle news and two guys talking back and forth and like getting in arguments or making fun of each other, and like that's it. And I like it. It's great. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, there are people that like would listen to two guys talk back and forth. So yeah, it's cool. It's called High Side Low Side. If you're into motorcycles, it's cool. If you're into Harleys, it's probably not for you because it's not very Harley friendly. But yeah, it's great. Two really intelligent guys in the motorcycle industry talking about motorcycles. And yeah, they do it as like seasons. I don't know, we've never done seasons, but this is like season 4 for them.
Oh yeah. Some podcasts do that. I don't know why. I mean,
they just don't do it year round, so they do like
okay.
It, like takes breaks and stuff, and then they bring it out in other seasons. But yeah, that's what I've been listening to a lot, honestly.
Yeah, I haven't found anything new. Jim James released a song. I think it's a cover of something, or it was just like a one-off for like a compilation CD for like, and other people were recording stuff. I don't know, but I liked it. It was good. But I'll cede my time on listen to get a Lonesome Dove update from Andrew.
We're gonna pause that one until next month. There's just so much going on in the book. I don't want to talk about it yet.
Okay. All right.
At least I haven't watched the movie yet, just to pretend like I've read more of the book.
Oh, really? Yeah, don't do that. I'll be able to tell because
I know you would.
There's so much missing.
I've gotten a couple more chapters in. It's not like I'm not reading it at all.
Yeah.
I just I'm a very slow reader. You know that.
Yeah.
And,
that's okay.
And, it takes. Yeah.
Once it gets a hold of you, I think you'll.
Yeah, I don't dislike it. It's not like not like I'm like, oh God, I'm reading this for Jaron in the podcast alone. No, like it is. It's good.
Yeah.
I'm just like, not a reader. Not a big reader.
It's fine.
Should be cool. Like I should like get my morning coffee and go out on the porch and read, but instead I'm like, there's got to be some Michael Bay film on right now.
Yeah, right. I haven't watched this Meatloaf video yet.
On repeat.
Well, what time you coming here? I mean, it's not probably like you wake up and have like an hour to kill before you have to roll into the.
No. Yeah, you're right. I more so meant Saturdays and Sundays.
Oh, okay.
No, Monday through Friday, I just wake up and come to work.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Anything for learn?
No. If I thought hard enough, I could definitely come up with something good. But I feel like I've been so inundated with everything going on over in the new place and whatnot. But I guess you could
learning how to brew on a bigger system.
Yeah, learning how to brew on a bigger system. Exactly.
Yeah.
Learning how to troubleshoot things that contractors built wrong. But. Yeah, no, nothing super specific in that realm.
I have it's kind of like a personal. I kind of learned a little bit about like my grandfather and some of my.
That's cool.
Older family members.
Hope it was good stuff.
Yeah. So it's something I've been wanting to do. My parents. So my parents live in the house that my grandfather had built in the 50s. So it was my dad was raised. And then, and when my grandmother passed away in 87, they left him the house. And so we moved in there. So that's basically where I grew up, too. And it's where my parents still live. So they had, up in, like, the attic area of the house, my grandfather's, like, war trunk from World War II and all kinds of stuff that he had saved or whatever that my dad had gone through it before, but I had never been there. So my brother and I went home one weekend in July and just like went through the stuff and was checking out what he had, and pretty cool. He had a bunch of pictures from like during the war and stuff. I took a bunch back. I'm gonna get some of them framed and everything. Some pins, some like Nazi like pins and stuff. Which is pretty cool.
There's actually a huge market for that.
Oh, yeah?
Like, there's like, collectors and stuff. Which is like kind of a weird thing to collect, but.
Yeah. My brother's more into like, he'll he'll go to those like military shows or whatever you call them, like at convention centers. And he actually, so we split up the stuff that we wanted, and I took some stuff, he took some stuff. But I took pictures of everything I took and sent them to him because he's going to go. There's a one down. He lives in Shippensburg, so there's a show in York coming up in September that he's going to go to, and he wants to try to like show it to people that like know a lot about this stuff and see like, or like just what they are, like what they signify, like who would have worn this pin or whatever. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was cool. And my uncle, they called him Mose. It would have been my dad's uncle, so my great uncle. I never met him or my grandfather. They both died. Or Mose didn't die before I was born, but he lived in Florida and died when I was young. But my grandfather died before I was even born. So, but Mose was like a pretty decent artist. He would submit stuff to like newspapers, and he worked for the Department of Defense and like worked on like developing or redoing like the presidential seal, which is pretty cool. But there were some old like of his sketchbooks and stuff, and like sketches he drew like in Germany during the war and stuff. So I grabbed that. I'm gonna frame some of that to hang up. And
sweet.
Yeah, it was cool. It's something I've been wanting to do, and I don't know, man. I like those pins and stuff. I'd like to frame them, but then the current like culture, I don't want people to walk into my house and see like fucking swastikas and stuff and get the wrong idea. But I think maybe if I have it along with pictures of my grandfather in the war, maybe that'll be okay.
Stuff got kept though.
Yeah,
and, like it was there for you to be able to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was cool. So that was cool to learn some more stuff about him, and the pictures are pretty cool. So I was excited about that. But anyone that's, I don't know, I've always been interested in World War II. I like, reading the books I'm reading now. There's 2 different books I'm like in the middle of that are both about World War II, and I always like that, movies about it and stuff too. So it's something I've been wanting to do.
Yeah, it's awesome. My great grandfather was in World War II.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember interviewing him for a project when I was in like 6th grade.
That'd be cool. Do you still have it?
No, I think it was like a verbal. It was like a like I like dressed up like him. So I did have his like old army gear and like his little hat and stuff. Yeah. So because I wore that stuff in. But yeah, I mean, there was quite a significant age gap there. So he was pretty old.
Yeah, sure.
He was actually, I think he was old in the war. So he was
probably.
Old.
I mean, if it was your great grandfather.
Yeah, I think he was like 30. And then, but I know he was in Battle of the Bulge.
Oh wow!
I remember doing research on that, and I also know he got shot in the butt, which is funny.
Forrest Gump,
because Forrest Gump did too. So yeah, that's about all I know of those. I was too young to get much out of that.
Your family, did he have anything like from? I guess you said he had his gear, like his hat and stuff.
Yeah, I took the clothes, and they were in my closet for a while. I'm sure since, like, in my parents' house, I'm sure since they went away, they did something with it. My mom's pretty cognizant of that stuff, though. She wouldn't throw it away or, like, just give it to Goodwill. She'd, like, make an effort to give it to somebody who cared about that.
Yeah.
I'll ask her. Next time I talk to her about any of that. I don't know. But it is intriguing now that, like, being old enough to like give a shit,
understand.
Yeah. That's kind of cool.
They had saved 2. I didn't take these, but I was like made sure. I was like, you're not gonna like get rid of this stuff, are you? They're like, no. They had like the Philadelphia Inquirer from it said like Kennedy shot dead, like from the day that happened, and like the one that like Oswald killed. With the picture, they still have those, and my grandfather had saved the edition of Stars and Stripes, which was like the military newspaper that said Nazis surrender. So it was like the VE Day edition of that. So that'd be something I'd probably get framed too.
Yeah,
that's pretty sweet.
That's cool.
Yeah. I guess we can leave it there for this month. Thanks again, everyone, for writing your reviews.
Yeah, appreciate it. If anybody has questions that they want us to answer, whether it's about Lonesome Dove or Michael Bay or Dancing Gnome, hit us up on Twitter. I guess it's the easiest way. I mean, I guess you could email me. I gave my email earlier in it, but
don't
I'll
do that.
forget it. Yeah, just tweet us. We'll be able to figure it out. Mason _S7. Congrats. You should email me. We can talk. Leave a review. You might win something next month.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Apple, iTunes. No, there's no iTunes. Apple Music review.
That's where I look, so I'm
Apple.
sorry anyone that's reviewing on Spotify. I never check there.
Yeah. Leave your review on Apple
Podcasts
Music,
or whatever it's
Podcasts,
called.
Music.
If you're listening to this,
Apple Sounds.
you can review it.
.com.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in again. I hope it was right in your face. And we'll see you next month.